Welcome friends. In this video, I'll show you how to use Spring AI with Ollama 3.2 and chat memory. Let's go take a look. I generated this image, right? I did some AI art for my AI video. I think I used Stable Diffusion for this one. What is Spring AI first? It is a sub-project of the Spring project. As you can see when you go to the website, right here on the project, I made a screenshot. They put it right in this list. They actually have many more sub-projects, and the fact that it's in this list indicates that it is pretty important for them because it's a short list and there's actually much more, which you'll see if you go to their website. So in the documentation, what do they say is the purpose? Well, their first line in the documentation really is just a lot of marketing speak. They say the Spring AI project aims to streamline the development of applications that incorporate artificial intelligence functionality without unnecessary complexity. That's nice, but it doesn't really tell us much about Spring AI itself. So if we read a little further, we find that really it is a portable API, right, across different AI providers. So you can use the same Spring AI API. You can use that both for ChatGPT and for Claude or for Ollama, for any of them, right? You can do that for chat, which is the most important or most significant part of the API, but also for text to image, also text to speech, speech to text, and moderation. Those are subparts of the API. Clearly not as important, much less time is spent on them in the documentation, also in the code. And embedding, right? That is another big part. In this video, I'll show you to do chat, but in the next video, I'll show you embedding as well. Both synchronous and streaming API versions are available, which is very useful. The synchronous one is a little easier to use, but the streaming API is actually much more user-friendly if you incorporate it into your project, right? Because you can see the text coming in, streaming along, so to say. Although it is a portable API, it is still possible to access a model-specific features as well. So all in all, it's pretty good. Primarily chat, right? Chat related. That's our focus. And what are the classes that we see when we do chat? First of all, of course, chat client, right? Because we're going to connect to an AI service. So we need a chat client. There's also a chat model class, but we only really see this during a bean creation. Then a prompt class, or you can also do a prompt template, which is very useful. With prompt template, you can make a string with placeholders that you can put values in from the user, right? So that's very, very practical. Lastly, a chat response. That's what you get when you send the prompt over with the chat client. It gives you chat response back. So all in all, pretty straightforward. Now, I'm currently running Ollama 3.2 locally. If you go to the Ollama website, let's do that, ollama.com. You can download Ollama. It will install a command line utility. Let's go over here, command line utility. I think I'm running it right now. Let's get out for a moment. So you can say Ollama list. It will show you what models you currently have downloaded and which ones you can run. If you say the name of a model that we don't have yet, like Llama 3.2, and I want the 1 billion parameter version. I currently have the 3 billion parameter version, I think. If I say that, it will start downloading it. Sorry, I have to say run. Right, I just say run and I don't have it. It will start downloading it for me, right? So that's very nice. It's very straightforward. It'll start downloading it, and once it's downloaded, it will actually actively run it. So very good, right? Very user-friendly tool, basically. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to run Ollama, and you just saw me use this command, right? Ollama run, Llama 3.2. If you don't say anything, it will use the 3 billion parameter version, which is about 2 gigabytes. If you don't have a lot of RAM on your system, you might want to switch to this 1 billion version that I am currently downloading, right? It just is a little less capable, but both will work, and they will work well on old hardware like the hardware that I am using right now, right? I'm currently using a 6-year-old laptop, and it's fine. It's fine. It will work. Now, I'm going to make a Spring project. I'm using Maven for the dependencies. I used Spring Initializer to put this together. If you haven't seen that before, let's go take a look here. So Spring Initializer. It lets you make a Spring Boot application very quickly, or at least the POM. I do Java, right, with Maven, Spring Boot 3.4.4. And then I can say, oh yes, give me Ollama. There we go, Ollama. And I want to do this with a web application. There you go, right? And then we can click generate to download the file, or you can explore it. Now, this is almost exactly the POM I was showing on the slide, right? I'm using Spring Boot Starter Web and the Ollama Spring Boot Starter. And notice that with the Ollama Spring Boot Starter, I do not need a version. And the reason for that, because it's not actually in the bill of materials for normal Spring Boot, is because it gave us this extra dependency management section in which it gives a Spring AI bill of materials, right? Giving us all the versions that it thinks are best to be used in combination with the other Spring Boot packages. So that's what this section does. All right, and we see that section here as well. Then our Spring Boot application, this is our default, right, that you get with any Spring Boot application. And then we just modify it a little bit by creating a single bean, a chat client bean. And the chat client bean is really built from the chat client builder, providing it the chat model, and then just built. That's it. So no customization at this point in time. We will customize it a little later when we try to add a chat memory, right? That's where we'll do some customization of this. Our application of properties is very straightforward, right? Spring AI Ollama chat options model, Llama 3.2. Spring AI Ollama base URL, that's our local host, right? We're running it locally. And then our temperature for the model, this indicates how creative the model should be, right? The higher, the more creative, the more diverse the output will be. The lower it will be, it will often give you the same answer. Let's go take a look on our command line here. Yes, we have downloaded it successfully. It has started it successfully. And so I can ask it, tell me a joke. Pretty good, right? So it's telling me a joke. Good, good, good. Then the controller. Here, I'm first injecting the chat client that we saw the bean for being created in the previous slide. And then I make a get mapping for /AI. And then what I do is I take a subject for input and I ask the chat client to tell me a joke about subject. So here I'm using the prompt template to put the value of subject, right, that the user gives us into subject, right, into that string. And so the prompt template gets turned into an actual prompt, which we pass into the chat client to make the call across the network to the local host, right? So it's not really that much network, to create a chat response. And then from the response, I get the result. The result is actually pretty big. There's a lot more fields in it, fields that we don't care about at this point. So we can say get output and then get text to get the output text. Let's run this, have a little demo. I'm going to go over here, make sure that I am in the right one, cd Spring AI. There we go. And I'm going to say Spring Boot run. So it starts the project, and then I can go over to localhost 808080/AI, and then I can say subject equals, I want you to tell me a joke about, I guess, cats. Let's do it. Let's tell me a joke about cats. I think it always tells the same joke, or most of the time it tells me the same joke. So it says, why did the cat join a band? Because it wanted to be the percussionist. It mostly tells dad jokes, right? But, good enough, good enough. Okay, so it's running. That's very good, right? That's nice. Now, one thing that it doesn't do, though, is it doesn't have any memory. So if I say, tell me a joke about cats, right? And remember that my name is Mikael. Right, so So it says Michael, okay, sure, right? And then if I say again, tell me a joke about cats, do you remember my name? No, don't remember your name, right? So each prompt is completely fresh, right? So it doesn't have any memory, and that can be kind of a problem if you're actually wanting to use this as a real chat bot. So we need memory, right? We need memory. Ooh, I think we actually have a different subject first. Switching AI providers. Yeah, let's do that, right? So so far we're using Ollama. Say you want to switch to OpenAI because we're using this portable API. It should be very straightforward, right? Not really. I don't want to switch to OpenAI because I don't want to pay a monthly subscription. Nevertheless, right, I'm going to switch to their API, which Ollama also implements. In fact, not just Ollama, it's actually very nice. If we go to the Spring webpage, docs.spring.io.spring AI reference, if we look here at the, where is it, AI models, chat models, comparison, we have a big list of comparison, and here on the right hand side you can see OpenAI compatible, and you can see that quite a lot of models are actually compatible with OpenAI, and Ollama definitely is. So I'm going to treat Ollama as if it is OpenAI, right? I'm going to use the same API for it. Let's see. I might actually be configured still to be treating it like OpenAI. So let's just take a look. So here in Spring AI, source, main, resources, application. Oh, look, I was using it as OpenAI. So I'll switch back. I'll switch back to show you that you can do either API, right? Both will work. So I have to change it here in the application properties, and I also have to change it in the pom.xml, right? So I have to write the dependency for it. And then we can go and run it again. And once it's running, I can ask it once again a joke. What about dogs now? Yeah, let's tell me a joke about dogs. Now using the different API. Why did the dog go to the vet? Because he was feeling rough. Yes, so it works, right? It does not matter which API I'm connecting with. It works, right? I can treat it as if it's OpenAI, right? And it's very simple to do that with a Spring, right? So it's easy to switch between API AI providers, right? We switched the Maven dependency, we switched the application properties, and then we ran it, and it was fine. Okay, our next topic is actually system messages. And this one is a topic that if you're just a normal user of chatbots, you're not aware of this, but when someone runs a chatbot, they can instruct it how to respond to the normal users, right? So what are system messages? These are messages, right, where the system says this is how you should answer, right? The AI model processes two types of messages. The user messages come directly from the user, and the system messages, they are generated by the system to guide the conversation. So for instance, if you go to a website, it should say like you are a chatbot that's going to give a friendly customer service to the people looking at the website to help them find what they need. Something like that, right? So that would be a system message instructing the bot how to behave towards the users that are coming in. Now, that's what we're going to do. How are we going to do it? Well, one way of doing it is that you could put it directly into the chat client prompt. You could say chat client.system, you are a military recruit and should start and end every sentence with sir. And that works. It works, but doing it on the chat client, right, is considered a bad practice because you should avoid repeating system text in runtime code, right? This means that you have to put it on every time and again, right? In runtime, every time you have to put it on. So where should you put it instead? Well, on the builder. So when we're building the chat client, we put a default system text on there, putting it there, right? So this builder actually has lots of different options that you can use for customization. You can do chat options, right? Default system messages, default user messages, default callback functions, default advisors. We'll talk more about these advisors coming up. And similar to normal prompts, where you can have placeholders, you can also have placeholders for these system messages, right? A template, right? And these templates can receive values right here when you're putting it on the chat client builder, or they can receive values at runtime. Both are possible. We don't need that right now, but that's kind of useful to know about. Then let's demo this. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to stop it. I'm going to go to the CD system messages project, and I'm going to run this one. And once it's running, it should answer as if it is a military recruit. So here I asked it to tell, give us a joke about dogs. Let's ask a joke about horses. See what it says. Sir, here's one for you. Why did the horse get kicked out of the movie theater? Because it was horsing around, sir. Right, so it saw our system message and it still is able to do these jokes, right? So pretty good, pretty good. We've guided the conversation. Okay, finally, on to chat memory, right? So because it doesn't remember anything, how can we make it remember things? We can do that with an advisor. What is an advisor? Really, it's very similar to AOP. If you've done Spring aspect-oriented programming before, it's just like that, right? We can do a before advice or an around advice in the prompt, basically. In the prompt, we're going to give it extra information. And for chat history, what is that extra information? The extra information are all the previous things that were said, right? So let's see what they say here in their little bit of marketing speak again. The Advisor API provides a flexible and powerful way to intercept, to modify, and to enhance AI-driven interactions in your Spring applications. Okay, so what does that really come down to? It really means that it's a common pattern that when calling an AI model with user text is to append or augment the prompt with extra contextual data. So we're just going to tell it, hey, these are the things that came before it, and now answer me this, right? Chat history, we're just going to give it the chat history, but it's going to come in on every request. And this is very important to understanding for how a chat model works. That this is literally how it works when you're on ChatGPT as well, right? So every question that you ask, ChatGPT actually receives all the previous messages from you as well, so that it knows what you were talking about. Okay, so in order to do this advisor, let's first talk about the types of chat memory advisors. There's 3 types of chat memory. The first one is a message chat memory advisor. That's the nicest one. Right? It retrieves memory and adds it as a collection of messages into the prompt. But that means here, the requirement here is that the prompt API of the underlying model needs to have a place for that list, right? This maintains a structure and conversation history. Not all AI model APIs support this, right? So not everyone has a place in their JSON for a list of previous messages. So if the API does not support it, then we can do the prompt chat memory advisor, where we retrieve the memory and incorporates it into the prompt system text. We just add it in, right? We add it in, basically we're stuffing the prompt. We're taking the text that would normally be for the user, and just above it we say, hey, this is what we were talking about before, and now this is what we're talking about now. Lastly, there's also one where we can use a database to retrieve it. It's too extensive for us. We'll use vector stores in our next video when we're talking about a retrieval augmented generation. This is a little too heavy-handed, so to say, for what we're doing here. So we're going to make an advisor. We're going to add it to the builder for our bean here. So our advisor memory is a new message chat memory advisor based on an in-memory chat memory. So it's just going to be based on RAM. Now, That's fine for my little example project here, but if you were to run this in a production environment, you'd want to use the Cassandra or Neo4j chat memory, right? Basically taking it from the database. Much better for production. Then on my chat client builder, I give it the model and I also say, hey, your default advisors, you can give it a list, but we don't need to give it a list, is here this memory advisor, right? Okay, so we've added the memory on. Then we have to make one more change here in the controller. We need to also retrieve a chat ID, because not only does it need to have a memory, it needs to have a memory for each person that is talking to it, right? This is a web application. We can have many different people talking to it at the same time. And so it needs to be able to identify like your person 1, your person 2, your person 3, right? And it doesn't mix them up. So that's why we need a chat ID, and we need to pass it in, right? After the prompt. We say advisors, right? We want the chat memory conversation ID key, giving it that chat ID so that it knows, right, which memory for which person. Okay, let's go take a look at that running. That's over here. So I'm going to stop this one. I'm going to go down. I'm going to go to the memory. So what was that one called? CD chat memory. There we go. Let's run it. And now I should be able to tell it something and then ask it about the thing I just told it. I need to give it a chat ID. Chat ID equals 1 and prompt equals. Now I'm no longer asking it about jokes, right? Here, right? I am just saying I'm giving it the prompt setup. Actually, let's see that in the code here as well. Let's close all that. Make this a little bigger. Here in chat memory, in the chat controller, right? I take the prompt and I put that straight in. So whatever I type, that's what it's getting. So prompt is, hi, my name is Nathan. Takes a moment. Hello, Michael. It's nice to meet you. Okay, so we told it my name, but now I can ask it, do you remember what my name is? And it actually remembers, right? See, now it knows. So we have chat memory. That's great. It's great. So in summary, we saw that Spring AI provides a portable API across providers. We saw that we can provide both user and system messages, very useful, right? If we have to say like, hey, you're supposed to answer like this, you're supposed to be a chatbot, a friendly chatbot on a website. And then we saw advisors, how they can be used to create chat history, chat memory. So some closing thoughts. This was fun, but was it practical? No. No, so far, if I was working for a company, my company would need the AI to answer questions about the company's data, right? Which the model was not actually trained on, right? These AI people, they scrape all this stuff off the internet, but once they've scraped it all off, the internet keeps on changing, right? And also maybe it's behind a login that they couldn't get into. So usually what a company needs is it needs to have the AI be able to answer about its data, right? So far it's not super practical. To do this, we need request augmented generation, right? So that it can look into an additional data set beyond the data that the model was trained on. So in the next video, I will implement this request augmented generation with pgvector and the question answer advisor. All right, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like, subscribe, all those things, and I will see you again next time.